Hello, slots enthusiasts. How are you? My name is John Friedel. Welcome to Professor Slots, a channel devoted to mastering casino slots so you can win your way to success. Today, we're going to be diving into checking to see if Florida's commercial casinos have been cheating you since closing for 2 months early last year. It's great to see you all here again for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. If you're here with us live, be sure to say hello and ask your slots related questions and share your own tight versus loose casinos wherever you play slots. I'll get to those comments in the live chat and a little later in the show. Oh, looks like we've got our first one. Chuck has, let me show it. Chuck has given a super chat in the live stream. Very much appreciated, Chuck. Thank you so much. His comment on the portion where you can chat, he says, starting things out. Absolutely, Chuck. It's been a pretty crazy week, and it's well, maybe I'll tell you something about that in a little bit later in the show. So, thanks to all the early arrivals, those that showed up before the start of the show, and the friendly discussion we had in chat. This time it wasn't nearly as crazy as a week ago, where we had just so much going on before we even started the show. This time we're mostly talking about the weather and how it's like freezing out. In some places, not for Jan though, not in Texas. Right, so and also, thanks to the many new slot enthusiasts that are continuing to show up at my weekly live stream. You are very welcome to be here. I need to move things around a little bit so I can. Oh, Sally, you made it. I don't mean to interrupt what I just said I would do, but Sally made it. What does she say? She says, "Woohoo! I gotcha." And there she is on the live chat. Oh, the ceiling fan is distracting. All right, well, let me see if I can. Oh, right there, a little bit. I'll turn it off in the future. But to distract you a little bit more, I guess, I will stand to the side. And this is Emmett. Emmett has joined the show as a co-host, a black and white for those of you on the podcast, medium long here. His name is Emmett, or actually Emmett Brown, Dr. Emmett Brown, which you may recognize from the Back to the Future. I named my cats after scientists, and I decided to go with a fictional one this time. So hopefully things are, he's behind me, but I step aside, you can sort of see him. I'm pretty sure he's looking at another cat. Right, so let's get moving along. Right, so how this works for the people that are new, is I will pick a topic, and then we'll have some discussion points, and then you take a look at what you think about that and ask your questions. Usually I get to those at about the middle of the show. A lot more people show up in the last half of the show. I guess YouTube's putting out the word, and we'll hear about it. So all U.S. casinos, this is the topic today, is taking a look at whether or not casinos are cheating you. And there's a way to do that. I'll talk about how to confirm it. Not everywhere, but some places. So all U.S. casinos closed for months in 2020. Since that unprecedented event, a big concern for slots enthusiasts is if casinos are trying to get back their lost gaming revenue. How? By reducing their return to player, RTP. But is that true? State by state? Slot machine casino gambling in the United States is based on state law, even if it's a tribe, even if it's a tribal casino. So we kind of have to look at this state by state. And I thought I would start a series. I've got maybe 20 states, forget the exact number, maybe half of the US states have return statistics by month, at least, sometimes more, sometimes more than just the average for a casino or a region. And let's start with Florida's commercial casinos. And got to make sure I keep an eye on chat. Got to ring the bell if anybody wants to donate. And you can donate by using the $ button. I'm not getting live chat showing up. Well, I think we're working okay. Hopefully I don't miss any of the donations, but there's a $ at the bottom of the live chat if you're here with us live that allows you to donate a super chat or a super sticker, and I'll ring a bell and put you up on the screen. So, and it's very much appreciated. So every casino closed in 2020 due to the global pandemic. There's 989 casinos. There were 989 casinos. They closed quickly, but reopened slowly about 2 months later. Nearly a year later, I think we're at around 10 months, 9 months, approximately 100 casinos of those nearly 1,000 casinos have yet to reopen. Oh, thank you, Chuck. He has given us silence in his super chat. Donation of $20. Very much appreciated. Thank you. I will talk a little bit about how my ongoing support is going a little later in the show if we have time. Just keeping you guys informed on if I can keep this going and kind of what I'm trying to do to make that happen. Right. So there's no doubt that abrupt closures financially hurt the U.S. casino industry. After reopening, their financial woes continued due to broad travel restrictions and reduced occupancy. Is that really capacity at their casino? Some of them turned off every other slot machine. Some of them turned off 2 slot machines, and then for every 3 slot machines, 2 of them were turned off and only 1 was on. And that happened for a while. We'll look at some numbers that'll clearly show that. So 50% of slot machines turned off was typical, not to mention all the plexiglass and other things that were added during the 2.5 months where most were closed. But there was also sometimes more. So when my 20,000 plus audience of slots enthusiasts, hey Bradley, it's good to see you here. I'm not sure, I believe Paula is here. Paula is our moderator. Bradley's coming in from the YouTube stream. Oh, Sally, thank you. Sally gave a super chat, $5. I just love watching you, and you give us all the best info. Thanks, PS. She calls me PS. I always feel like there's something else I should add to that. Dum-dum. Oops. Right. Right. And so there's people coming in from all over, a bunch of new people because of some things that I'm trying to make happen, get the word out a little bit more. So my 20,000 plus audience of slots enthusiasts started returning to 9 months ago, at the time I had a 20,000 plus audience, more now. Started returning to newly reopened casinos that began to report tight slot machine gameplay. For the most part, slots players who chose to return to playing slots at casinos shrugged and said, well, that's understandable. That's the comments that I saw. Also, I wanted to thank Paula for being our moderator today. Thank you, Paula. But 1 month turned into 2 months after they reopened, then 4 months, and then 10 months. Along the way, some casinos appear to understand how angry their slots patrons were becoming due to all the tight slot machines. So some casinos made adjustments. Other casinos, not so much. Bradley is going to keep on telling us about Tampa. He has some strong feelings about Tampa, probably well-deserved. I wouldn't be surprised, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. But Yeah, so we've got people coming in for the Florida episode that we're doing today. So those casinos that made adjustments, this is going back to being US wide, to tight slot machines, started to give out wins again. This thrilled us. I mean, this whole time I've had slots communities on every state, and people told each other that they were thrilled. But then the players noticed another second change that came in along with it. Yes, the casinos were giving out wins again, but the wins were smaller than from before the pandemic. And you know what? That was okay. They were happy to be winning again, even if it wasn't much, right? Those are the comments that I got. Yes, it's not much, but it's just hard, as Bradley will attest. It's just hard to not win anything. Just occasional win just keeps things going, and that's where we're at. I want to say that, and I did it again, I'm using a lot more ums and ahs than I usually do. Somehow it's crept back into my speech. Last week, I used my yearly quota, and I am trying to cut them out again. It's like ongoing. They're like weeds. You have to whack them back. So I will keep that in mind as I go through this. So at a guess, which casinos do you think retained their slots patrons and which did not? The ones that just took your money, or the ones that gave you back a little? Still took your money, but gave you back a little. I'd say casinos with happy slots enthusiasts did the best. The question is, how long has it gone on? How long has it gone on? Has it stopped yet? Is it still happening? Both small wins or effectively no wins? What are the facts? We can find out the facts. Let's find out for Florida's commercial casinos. So you may have known that I have weekly, I'm going to share this. So I'm sharing my screen. This is my webpage, not YouTube, but professorslots.com. And if you go there, you'll see that there is this icon here at the top in the menu bar. Oh, by the way, do you like the size of my mouse? I made it the biggest I can make it. For me, it's like this big. If you go there and you tap on that, let me show you something else. This is another way to sort of look at it. This is what it looks like on a desktop. Ignore the stuff on the left. This is what it looks on a desktop. If you hover your mouse over it, you'll see summary article here, and that's where we want to go. But if you're on an iPad, it looks like this. And now that menu actually says menu, and you have to tap on it for it to expand. And then there's a little down arrow over here, which will allow you to go to the summary article. And very similar to this, this is what it looks like on and it's very small, I know, but this is what it looks like on a phone. And if you click menu, it'll open up and you can choose state by state and find this summary article. So I'm going to go on my desktop. I'm going to go to the summary article. And it's going to load up. And so this is my summary article. It's alphabetical on all the states. I've been working on this for like 4 years. I'm going my fourth time through every state. Also 5 territories and 1 district, federal district. So this is alphabetically through all this. I'm going to quickly scroll down to Florida. So there's Florida. And if I were to click this part right here, it'll take you to my page or my post on Florida, which I reviewed at the end of December last year, and then the next time it'll be due in about 13 months, which is about a year from now. And I do this for every week. I do a new one, and so this is the Florida page. This is the Florida slot machine casino gambling in 2020 article that I have put together fairly recently, a few weeks ago, and it's the same structured as all the others. Introduction. I make a video, I make a podcast. So those of you who are listening on the podcast know very well that after this live session, I will be going on about the reviewing the next state see, is it Hawaii? I think it's Hawaii. Um, don't do that. So I talk about various general things, including the gaming board, list all the casinos, those that are commercial, those that are tribal. The commercial casinos are here. There's 8 of them. These commercial casinos in Florida, I'll get to this, are the ones in Miami-Dade County that have racetracks. And those are the only commercial casinos. There's other racetracks in Florida, but these are the only ones that are allowed to have slot machines. And so that's where we'll go, because all the way down to just before the summary is this section called Payout and Returns. This was done in December. At the time, they had not yet released the latest return report from the Gaming Commission. This will get interesting. I'm sure. I promise. Was October. So that's the numbers for October, but we're trying to do something slightly different, which is to, I'll pull back out, and let me just be a little more systematic here. Florida slot machine casino gambling consists of 8 pari-mutuel racetracks in Broward. Listen to Paula Bradley. But he's not saying anything different from what I would expect, just so you know, Paula. But she's in charge of the chat. So Florida slot machine casino gambling consists of 8 pari-mutuel racetracks in Broward and Miami-Dade counties, 7 tribal casinos, senior center amusement arcades, multi-day cruise ships with onboard casinos, and day-long or part of the day-long gambling boats. State gaming regulations have authorized slot machines and pari-mutuel wagering racetracks in Broward and Miami-Dade counties. These counties contain the cities of Miami and Fort Lauderdale in southern Florida. Let me show this to you so you can see that. Keep myself on the side here, and I will show you. I briefly went by it before. There is a map. So Miami, Broward, or Miami-Dade County is this county right here. And there are tribal casinos south and north of it. But if you were to zoom in, then you would see that there are 8 commercial casinos in this county right here, Miami-Dade County, with Fort Lauderdale and the cities of Fort Lauderdale and Miami. Okay. And for those of you on the podcast who can't see these things, I will do my best to describe this. Southern Florida, 8 casinos, all within one county, holding Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Right. These are the Big Easy. Calder Casino, Casino Miami. It's another one called the Casino at Dania Beach, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It might be Dania. I'll call it Dania Beach. There's Gulfstream Park, Hialeah Park, Isle Casino Pompano Park, at Pompano Park. I'll call that Isle Casino. And then there's Magic City. I know there are people I've invited here who gamble at those casinos. And that's the commercial casinos. And the reasons why I'm talking, well, let me just take this step by step. Florida's pari-mutuel wagering sites in Broward, with slot machines in Broward and Miami-Dade counties, have a minimum theoretical payout limit of 85%. This is a minimum, it's a limit. 85%. And because it's a minimum, it can be 85% or more. No upper limit. People seem to forget that part. Return statistics by month and commercial casino are publicly available on the government website by dividing credits out by credits in and multiplying by 100%. Now, as Bradley, I think, very well knows, there are no return statistics per tribal compacts with Florida's tribal casinos. So we don't know what theirs are. We can guess and have an opinions, but we don't have data. But I thought it would be interesting to look at this and say, well, on the other side of the state, are they cheating you? And also, like I said, I'm going to be going through whatever states have monthly return statistics. I should be able to maintain like a weekly schedule, and I've got them. I asked people in my Florida slots enthusiast community, which ones do you want? And I went by that order, so it's not going to be alphabetical. I think the next one might be, what is the next one? Well, I'm going to work through them, and I'll let you know as we go. But that's going to be a weekly thing if I can maintain that schedule. And one of the things we can learn from this is, if nobody's cheating you on all of the casinos where we can see the data, we can start making assumptions. Now, today we'll do Florida's commercial casinos, and it's on the other side of the state or even right next to the next county over from these casinos. And I think maybe you can't say Tampa Hard Rock is going to, match this because they're isolated and there's no competition and they're way off by themselves. But what about the casinos that are 3 miles north or 5 miles south of Miami-Dade County? We can make assumptions, reasonable assumptions, that what happens in Miami-Dade County could very well be about what happens in the other casinos. Because if they don't do something similar, if they're, reducing their returns to very, very little, people will drive an extra 3 miles to go to a casino which treats them better. And that is a deterrent for tribal casinos to lower it. So we don't have return statistics for tribal casinos in Florida, but we do have tribal casinos close to, within a few miles of these casinos we do have returns for. So that's the sort of thing that I want to do on a national scale, on a US scale. Go through every state and say, this is what's happening. And if none of them are cheating you, then at your other place where you might not have this information, you can make a reasonable guess they're not cheating you. On the other hand, if they're all cheating you that we know of, then the ones you don't. So you see how this works, making inferences. Don't do that. Right. Florida's tribal compacts do not require theoretical payout limits or on their slot machines, nor are they required to make return statistics publicly available. Something I want to point out. So all this information is available in an article for every state already. You can go there, any state, any territory, federal district. What's available for that state, territory, district is already out there. I've done all of them 3 times, and half of them, a third of them 4 times, and each time the article gets better. Not to mention updated. So go look. But on the other hand, if you want to see a video, you want to have a podcast episode, we'll see how these end up in the podcast episode. Certainly this first one is. Then we'll see. You can wait for those things, but you can also do it now if you want to. All the information is there for you in my online resource, professorslots.com/online-resource. So we've done the overview, and I want to point out that the payout return is 85%. We're going to come back to that. The theoretical payout is 85%. There's a common belief, assumption, and we'll talk about what that is. So this is sort of the interlude. Let me jump back to lots of short comments and go back to where the show starts. CJ is here. He's in Sacramento. Chuck says slots are tight in St. Louis. Slots are tight. Too many things going on. Slots are tight in St. Louis. Have been since reopening. Let's see. Do we have return statistics for St. Louis? I think so. Yeah. Right? If there are any, then we'll get to those. Jan's here saying the ceiling fan is distracting. Great. I would run downstairs and turn it off. Maybe one of the cats can jump that high for me, and no opposable thumbs, but I think that they can handle a switch. They might turn the floodlights on though. And right. So Sally says, yep, I mentioned that one. Jan says Emmett is cut. Emmett is gone. When did that happen? Okay. Dave K is here. Hi, Dave K. And Wise Virgin. I'm not sure who he's asking. When did you play slots last? And Sally's here. Wise Virgin is Richard, possibly here with Lisa. Richard and Lisa to head down to Cherokee, Western North Carolina tonight. Any slots enthusiasts meet for dinner. So that's the sort of community we're building. I was at a casino in November, so it's been about 3 months. Now that the die-off, bluntly, has sort of, I mean, we're peaking, right? This is Ohio. It's red everywhere. There's supposed to be an ice storm tomorrow. I was thinking about going tomorrow, but there's supposed to be an ice storm. Right. Thanks for asking, Richard. Bradley says, Seminole Hard Rock, Tampa cheating you, no doubt. And no one will ever convince him otherwise. It could even be true. Yeah. Yes. So Sally says, I've been seeing a few of your 30-second videos. Are they all doing your 5-spin tastes? And do you figure out if we can do that at the WinStar and Choctaw casinos yet? I'll be going soon. Okay, that's like 3 questions in one. I guess she's sort of making up for lost time. One of the things that I'm doing is trying something new. YouTube has started doing something back in November. I had only heard about it about a week and a half ago. They're trying to reduce the effect of TikTok on YouTube as a competitor. So they've offered something called Shorts, #Shorts, and plural. So if you see any of my videos that are with a title that ends in #Shorts, that's going to be one of those. It's hard to see on my channel. It's hard to find on my channel. They're meant to be seen on the YouTube app. And they're building another section of the YouTube app, which hasn't been released yet, where it'll just be entirely shorts. Shorts are videos that are a maximum of 60 seconds long, although the upcoming app is going to have a section where it's only 15 seconds. So I decided to take some of my old videos that I had recorded for my own purposes using Strategy 1 in a nearby casino. I waited 6 months. I mean, I wasn't thinking about Professor Slots. I wasn't thinking about what I wanted to do. I just decided to document what I was doing because I had noticed that over 6 months, so many people knew about Strategy 1. That's what I call it, but I saw it in action there and I've refined it. But people, the rumor got out and they started just coming into the high limit room and just doing a couple of pulls on each machine. And that's what they did. Nobody was writing about it. It was just happening. More and more people were doing it. And over time, the hand pays that they were winning would be less than a hand pay of $1,200. And then if from there it dropped to $500. And I saw that happen. So I decided, better like record this just for posterity's sake and just do that. So I walked in, put $500 in the machine, pulled out the voucher and just went from machine to machine to machine with my $500 and made 5 bets. My Strategy 1 or the first hit. And as these videos show, it's first hit, second hit, or first bet, second bet that I'll hit something and I pull the money out and I go to the next one. And so each one of those was about, I think I called one $500 in 15 seconds. And that's what all those videos are for. So I will share this, which is so just to kind of wrap that up. So, right. This is a timeline that they give me for the last 48 hours of activity on my YouTube channel. And at 1 o'clock, as Paula knows, I called her at work. At 1 o'clock, this is normal activity on either side of this peak. And so for the podcast listeners, I'm showing a timeline of the last 48 hours. I took this picture a couple minutes ago before the show, and it shows these are like 500. But then it comes along at 1 o'clock, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Each one of these bins, each one of these bars is showing how many views I got in an hour. So this first tall one is from 1 to 2 yesterday afternoon. The next one is 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. And then it drops back down to normal. Each one of these is about 3,000 views. So 5 of them are 15,000 views. So in 5 hours, I got as much as I would get in 2 days. Yeah. That's why I do shorts, because this is just the beginning. This is the YouTube algorithm. You can see the way it just starts and the way it just stops. This is one video. This is just one 15-second video that was seen by 15,000 people, 3,000 people per hour for 5 hours. And so I posted, get rid of that. I made these videos from old documentation videos that I had of strategy 1. And let's see if I'm missing anything. And they might take off. The idea, if you have a good one, is they could end up getting a million views, but it does take a little while for the algorithm to sort of find them and process them. YouTube algorithm is pretty sophisticated. In fact, it's like 5 or 6 algorithms. And I think they did a test on my content from 1 to 6 yesterday. And I'm wondering if I passed the test. It seems like a nice video, I thought. And we shall see if they look at those results over the next month, and then boom, it'll be a million views in a couple of days. You don't make money from them. Not to go too much into this. You're not YouTube creators, I don't think, most of you. But you don't make money from them, but it's a great way to get your name out there. And that's why we might have more people at today's. Now I'm all out. This is the only videos that I have where I'm playing in a casino, 15 seconds, 5, 6, 7 times, I think it is. And that's it. So you won't be seeing those again, but I thought it would be a great way to put those out there. Yeah, because I don't record at casinos. I just happen to have these from a casino that's no longer owned by the former owners. Figure I'd get away with that. Okay. Right. So Jan says, I would love to meet a Professor Slots fan for dinner at a casino in Louisiana. And one of the other things Bradley has mentioned to me on some chats about Hard Rock Tampa was that they have crowds. Even now when they're not paying out, from his experience, they're packed. Which means there's no reason why they would even stop. Let's see. Lots of chat going on with one another. And lots of chat but with one another. NT says Seminole Coconut Creek slots are not paying out much, and same for Seminole Classic Casino. IL Pompano is now Caesars and have not been there lately, but the slots were tight the last time. I have data on IL Pompano. We'll look at that in a moment. 2:35. My cat was here earlier, but my co-host apparently has cut out. There are 2 more. There are 3 cats here in a photo, and See, the sun is shining, right? And the sun is not shining on that couch, but it is shining downstairs on that couch, and that's where they're at. We're going to call that priorities. Okay. I like the outdoors, says, "Are you a billionaire?" No, this is a 30-year house. I'm the third owner. It's typical cost of homes in this area. Greg Carnes is here. I play at Soaring Eagle Casino, Michigan. Haven't been there in over a year. I'm trying to get inspired to visit again watching your videos. I plan on going there. My father has a favorite casino in Florida, Seminole Casino, and I went there before the pandemic and reviewed it for him, with him there and his friends. Lois and Dave may or may not be here today. But he spends half the year in Michigan, and there he likes to go to Soaring Eagle. So I would have done it by now if it hadn't been for the pandemic, but that's where I'd like to go soon. So you may see something on that. Janet is here and reporting out on tribal casinos in Florida. And Bradley, I'll show his. Seminole spent $500 million on remodeling Tampa. See, there's your problem right there. They're paying for the remodeling. Yeah, you see that everywhere. It costs. So Mr. Blobbyhead might be in UK. And we know that. We know that UK is in full lockdown for months, so no going to the casino. We have Larry, who is often here. He is in the UK. He has made sure to tell us that. Don't feel left out. Yeah, exactly. NT says, Tampa, there's no competition around. Absolutely. And if they've just remodeled, they've got no reason why they might want to pay for that. So let's move on here a little bit. And Lena is adding that says that Choctaw is adding in Oklahoma, is adding a whole another wing instead of opening their slots, trying to compete with WinStar. That could be good or that could be bad. If it's all out by itself, then like Hard Rock Tampa, it will probably reduce the odds to pay for all of that. Yet if it's near another casino, like Choctaw is near to WinStar, then you could have sort of a Foxwoods Mohegan Sun in Connecticut sort of competition where they're a few 15 miles from one another. And that's how they drive each other to be. I mean, at one point, Foxwoods, before WinStar opened, not just before WinStar opened, WinStar took the cake. Foxwoods was the first largest, second largest casino in the world. And it was all because of the competition with Mohegan Sun. So competition is great if you can have it. Okay, so let's get back to showing you math. I've tried to put it off, but we're going to do math now. So let's talk about a couple of terms. Return to player, RTP, is a slightly ambiguous term. For some slots enthusiasts, it refers to the theoretical payout limit located in state gaming regulations. So, believe it or not, some tribes also have, very few tribal compacts have a theoretical payout limit as well. But for other slots enthusiasts, it's the actual return statistics report to the state by its casinos. For a few, it's both, and for others, it's based on their own gameplay records or feelings about how it's going for them. We saw some of that in the chat about tribal casinos where there are no records to look at, no data to look at, but they're very familiar. People who play at those casinos are very familiar with them, and they have a feel for it. So Florida has a minimum theoretical payout limit of 85% for its commercial casinos in Miami-Dade County, which means each individual slot machine must be set to 85% or higher. There's details here if you want to get into them. We kind of went over this in another live stream once upon a time. Where is that per bet, or is that over the lifetime of the game? Maybe they have the game for years. Maybe they have it for 2 weeks because they're trying it out near the entrance. I'll just leave it at 85% or higher. There's no upper limit in Florida. Pennsylvania, for instance, has an 85% minimum theoretical payout, but up to 100% upper limit. Well, there's no upper limit in Florida. Because there's no upper limit, as in some other states, slot machines can be set above 100% by the commercial casino if it so desires, perhaps done occasionally for marketing reasons. Many slots enthusiasts who are aware of theoretical payout limits make the assumption that every casino will always set their machines to the minimum possible legal limit in order to take the most money from their players. We'll see evidence shortly which shows this is a false assumption. Florida's 85% limit is effectively unused. As we'll see, no commercial casino even gets close to that low of a theoretical payout on average for the casino, which is a qualifier we'll have to have an entire episode on sometime. Based on Florida gaming regulations, including tribal state compacts, return statistics exist for the 8 racetracks with slot machines located in Miami-Dade County, hosting Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Return statistics are what happens when playing a machine at whatever theoretical payout it has been set to. The 8 casinos in Miami-Dade County report these actual returns to the state each month, and then the State Gaming Commission makes them publicly available in a short while on their Florida government website. Now, they do this monthly, and we don't have January's because January's not over, but we do have the most recent one is December. So what I've done is I've gone to this website, and here it is. Let me share. A link is in the description. Will also be a link in the podcast show notes. So if you click on that link, you will go to the statistical information page for parimutuel wagering, statistical information, slot machine gaming revenues. This is not card rooms. This is not the handle for the racing, but this is the section, the statistical information on slot machine gaming revenues. It goes back to 2006. It's a year long. And if you were to click on this, which I will do right now that you've had a look at it, this is what it looks like. It will show casino by casino of these 8 casinos in Miami-Dade County, and it will show month by month. So I'm going to open this. I've downloaded this, which you can easily do, and I'm going to open it in this, which is a little easier for me to zoom into. So I downloaded it, and I've looked at it, and December 2020 is the most recent one. It's this column right here using my little arrow. November, October, September, August, July last year. That fiscal year, if you know these sorts of things, starts in the middle of the year, starts in July. So I have to go to the previous 12 months here, which would pick up where that one left off: June, May, April, March, February, January. Now, unfortunately, this is where the math comes in. There is a little bit to do. They don't provide player win percent, but they do provide the 2 numbers that you have to divide to get player win percent. So if you take the credits out, which is the dollar value players win, with the credits in, which is the dollar values slots players spent on all slot machines at this casino in that month, if you divide those 2, you'll get the player win percent. So I got my trusty little fingers out, my little notepad, my little keypad, and I did that. So here we go. This is, if I highlight this, this is the Big Easy Casino for December, from January down at the bottom here. Bottom row is January of last year through December of last year. Credits out, credits in, put the 2 numbers in. There are 2 months here where there's no data. There's just no data in April and May because they were closed in those 2 months. Now, they may not have closed the last day of March, and they may not have opened the first day of June, but they were open for March, parts of June, but they were not open a day in April or May. So that's the pandemic. That's the closing of all casinos. Now, all these are just numbers. All these are just numbers. We might come back to them and look at some of them because there's some interesting things going on here where you can see that they had lower numbers on how much people were betting, and that's because they closed right here in March 2000. Let's see, March 2020, they dropped to half of their credits in from the previous month of February. That means they were probably closed for half of March. And when they opened back up in June, man, they were still had half of them closed. But in July, something happened. Was it that they came back with as many all the slot machines, but very few occupants, and then they went ahead and shut down every second machine, or only had 1 out of 3 machines running because they went 10% of their income. Their income dropped 10%, or dropped to 10% from 62 million per month in to 62 million, yes, to 6.2 million in. So that's when they started reducing how many people could come into the casino or how much people could play. And then they bumped it back up in September, which must have been when they turned all the slot machines back on. So you can sort of see some of this stuff. But there's more interesting stuff over here, which is where I divided those two numbers. Again, today's a math day. I know some of you have been looking forward to this day forever. Try to enjoy it because it could be a little bit long, a little bit of a while. So I took each of those casinos for each of those months, and I found out the player win percent. And I named them. And so you have different colors here. I'm trying to think of the podcast listeners because they can't see the graph. Anyway, there's 8 casinos. It's graphed out from January to December, and you can see the player return percent. I want you to notice several things. In fact, we could spend quite a long time talking about this. I expect to spend the rest of the time. Steve P., he sent out a challenge in the live chat. Professor Slots, I am your biggest fan, all caps. Make it a challenge. So yes, I'm going to keep talking here. Plenty of things going on. Lois and Dave are here. Hi, guys. Right. So this is last year at the 8 casinos. And I want you to notice several things. First off, where's 85% on this? The state limit is 85%. Where is it on this? It's way down there. I don't even know how to put it. It's like down here somewhere. It's not even on this. So we're not even, it's not a factor. And that's why people say, well, tribal casinos don't have a theoretical payout limit, so that's why it's a problem. And there's some ways where that might be a problem, but as far as the average for the casino, they never get close to that. Why? All right, so this number here is 90.5%. This number here is 94%. So everything ranges across about 3.5%, 2.5%, 3%. I'll call it 3%. Across this. So the best casino you've been to and the worst casino you've been to has had about a 3% difference on return. Isabel 64, what's the payout that would tease people to play higher? I'm not sure I understand the question. I think I understand the thought, but I'm not sure what you mean by it, by Isabel. What's the payout that would tease people to play higher dollars at Tampa Hard Rock? Oh, you're asking Dave K. I'll let Dave K. take a swing at that. Oh, there are links. I see questions here. Can I provide a specific link? The links are in the description. The description hasn't been updated yet. Didn't want to give a spoiler. So as soon as we're done with the live stream, I'll update the description so you'll have the link, all the links that I've mentioned. Now, I'm writing an article that will go along with this. It's not done yet, but these images will be in that. I hope to have it done today, possibly tomorrow. And then it'll be posted on my website at professorslots.com. And that's going to be, and I'll make a separate video more than likely for YouTube because live streams don't stick around more than a week. Anyway, so I'm rolling all this stuff out. I guess that answers your question, but I want to point out several things here. First is, we want to try to answer the questions in the 10 minutes we have left. This is the gap. April, May, when they were entirely closed. They might have been closed for part of March, but part of June, but they were open for some of it. That's why we have numbers. Consider January typical. January and February are almost the same on almost all of these. You had something happen. The green here is Hialeah Park. It dropped in February for some reason. more than any of the others. Wonder what's going on there. But on the other hand, it was the best. There is about a 3% difference between these two. So that is uh, the highest and the lowest, and that stays consistent for the whole year. So a lot of people, there was this rumor, this viral idea that if you change the volume on a slot machine, your win percent would change by 8.2%. And it's a hoax, but it's one of those carefully designed hoaxes that make it, well, it won't hurt if you try, sort of distractions. Instead of trying to find the best slot machine to win, you spend your time fiddling with the volume control and spending money. I laughed. Soon as somebody told me that, I laughed because it's obviously a hoax. Only it turns out it's not obviously a hoax to most people. 8.2% on top of 92% that I'm already getting, that'll put me over 100%. I would never lose. I would only gain money. Let's just very quickly jump back to this report here for Gulfstream, where they had in the month of, let's do December, the most recent month, December, they had their slot revenue income at $2.7 million. If everybody made money at slots, that would go to zero. Even if everybody broke even, that would go to zero. So no, that whole volume control thing is a hoax. Okay, so, and the reason why I know that is because the difference between a good casino and a bad casino is about 3%. Right from the worst to the best, about 3%, 2.5%, 3%. And as I go through these week by week, different states, I'll show you that's true. Now, isn't it strange? Several things to point out. Isn't it strange? Hialeah Park has always been the best. I mean, it's really close to being tied with what's brown, Magic City. So green is Hialeah Park, and brown is Magic City, and they're right neck and neck with Magic City, usually being the same or kind of crossing over. What is that? That's their choice. They've made this choice to put their numbers there consistently for a whole year, despite the pandemic. As Isle Pompano, the blue here, purple, has consistently been the lowest except for once in August and once in November, and they were pretty darn close then. All right, so that's just something to point out to you. We'll have more on that later, different topics. What I want to do is actually go back to 2008 on the earliest reports. I didn't do it today, just to see if it's been the same, because people say over time they've gotten tighter. Well, let's just go take a look and see if that happens. That's a different article that I haven't written yet. So let's take a look at this. This is gold. That's Dania Beach. It jumped up in March. Did they see something coming? Did they see people getting sick? Did they see some reason to improve the odds because people weren't coming anymore and they wanted to pull people in because they raised their odds? They did something here. That's unusually high. Then when they came back, they were still pretty high, and then they kind of like dropped. Now, December, they were extraordinarily high. They seem to be kind of bouncing the most out of any of these, although the pale blue Gulfstream Park did that once. So you look at that. So I'm going to try to clarify things a little bit and point you to, let's see, can I do this? I might be able to do this. So going back to, which one was it? Oh, which one was it? I kind of messed up here. And let me put it back the way it was. Okay. So Dania Beach, which was right there. I'm fiddling for the podcast listeners. I'm fiddling with the chart so we can kind of look at one of them. Okay, so they bumped it up. Dania Park bumped it up quite a lot, whole point, just before the pandemic, and then they kind of kept it up, and they dropped almost a whole point in the month after it. So you see this dip here. If we go to every one of them, whoops. This one doesn't dip in July. It does in June for Casino Miami. If we look at every one of these, do you see how you had one jump, another jumped, and the rest kind of dipped, particularly for August? Well, let's look at the total. I think it'll become you have to sort of look at data a lot to be able to just sort of see what I'm seeing. Let's look at the total return on all the casinos. Look at that dip in July and August, right? From the beginning of the pandemic to the and closing and to opening in June. On average, they all locked down and stayed the same. So then you get this big drop, which again is a whole point, and that matters. A whole point matters. And they did that for 2 months. And then they're back up to what they were just before and just after the pandemic on average. And they've been constant September, October, November, December, with a little dip in December, possibly because of the holidays. Who knows? So right here, this drop in the payout return, in the return to player in July and August, was when the casinos made their money back. Whatever happened with the lost money in the casino, they took money from you. It's not cheating, it's legal. I mean, it's not 85%. They could have done 85%. No, they dropped it a full point to 91.5% on average instead of 92.5% on average. That's what they did to you for the Florida commercial casinos. No cheating, just reduce the odds that much. Yeah. And that is what I wanted to show you. The article will have a few more closing remarks, and when that comes out, and hopefully I'll be able to provide a few twists and turns when I finish analyzing this data for you. Just to check the comments. Dania is notorious for having tight slots, and he says, and the data proves it. Bradley says, are we allowed to post our email address? I think it might be okay, unless Paula answered that question. I won't put it. See, okay, so the live chat is only going to be seen by the people in the live chat. It is not going. I turn it off for later, but you wouldn't want 10,000 people to get your. You wouldn't want 10,000 people to get your address, right, Brad? So I don't mind. You might mind. You will mind. So maybe you don't want to do that, but private message them. Let's see. Yeah, Isabel says, are you hoping to get spam, Bradley? Okay. My address is john@professorslots.com. So why don't I just give you mine? And if you want to email me, then I am open for business. So John spelled Jon. So maybe that'll solve all that problem about asking about that. Questions. Seminoles have strong influence on other casinos. Davis DJ says, nice work on the graphs. Data graphs are great. Thanks. Yeah, I use color. I worry about the podcast listeners hearing my explanation. Wind Creek Bethlehem went from 97% video poker to 96% 6-5 jacks, yet people still played. If everybody drops, then what choice do you have? And they know that. That's why competition matters just so much. How hard for a casino to change a machine return to player? There's a short answer and there's a long answer. You need to have a system in place. All casinos, except for Verboten casinos, have a system in place. It takes seconds. But they also have to have a reason why. They don't know you. I mean, it's not fast enough to calculate, oh, so and so just sat down at that. No, they're 4 hours later, they might have some idea. This is 3,000 slot machines, 2,000 slot machines, 1,000 slot machines, and a closet for, for the equipment, because they can't have more because they can make more from a slot machine if it's anyway. That's a whole discussion and an upcoming podcast episode and live stream and lots and lots of articles. I haven't got it out yet. Afraid I'm going to break the internet, so I want to get it as clear without no confusion. How do you know which slot will hit? If you stand in front of a slot machine, just giving you things to try. You stand in front of a slot machine, so it's behind you, and you're looking in the direction that slot machine's pointed. Is there a wall? Don't play that slot machine. Is an open area instead where people are like looking back at you? Play that one. You'll see what I mean if you try. Okay. We got a lot of comments. I'm 1 minute over. Thanks, everybody. And I will wish you all a good day. Have fun. Be safe. Make good choices. And podcast listeners, we'll move on to the next state, and we'll keep going.